Yeah, I'm telling you. Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Wolfman, all in the same episode of Scooby-Doo. What do you mean? I was just watching it today. Oh, I get it. You got passed it out. Yeah. Well, I tell you, no drinking unless I'm allowed. Oh. Greetings, Cubs. Well, with Hunter Month over, this was the movie I've been waiting quite a while. Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. Yeah, I got my spiels about like hunters in general, as like in film, movies, and we got the hunters being hunted. There's one I haven't mentioned: the specialists. We got the ones that are specifically vampire, werewolf, witch. Uh, shoot. Well, what was that? Oh yeah, ghost, dead. Pretty much. It's kind of hard to describe a hunter, not without mentioning the prey. My personal preference, I always find the vampire hunters a lot more interesting, because with witch hunters, it's situational. With werewolf hunters, roughly once a month. Then you got like random haunting, zombies rising. That could be like once in a blue moon, unless you're doing your homework right. I always find vampire hunters more interesting, because not only that, they not only have a threat that's more constant, but the chances are a hell of a lot better. Ah. Yeah, damn it. Anyways. Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. It is great. It's one of those ones, it's an epic on its own. If you were to compare it to movies like, probably more likely Blade, Van Helsing, like that, it'll probably be above average. Either above average or on par. But on a whole, I liked it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Hell, midnight release, I actually went as Lincoln. It had a hat, it's not the hat. I painted up my axe, make it look like it had silver edging. Image shade. And probably like the shameful thing about it is that at the time, only one theater in town had a midnight release. Even then, it was after the fact I found out that the theater I preferred to go watch it in had a midnight release already. I'm like, I've been keeping an eye on that theater. I even got word from the management that there was going to be no midnight release, and they did midnight release. Enough about that frustration. Anyways, it is awesome. Granted, it's not a perfect movie. See, Maven has her problems with it as well. I think more along the lines of being the victim than the hunter. But you gotta think about it. One of the top things he explained was how that his vampire hunting wasn't as part of his daily life than what I normally do during the daytime. It may be safer to hunt vampires in the day, but would you risk getting caught in the daylight? Because more than likely, unless somebody knows that, or like the police know that you're hunting a vampire in the daylight, it's going to look like straight up murder. And I liked how they handle it. They handle it like not only how I personally would, if I was mortal, would hunt vampires, but also how they would, like the training montage. They established that Lincoln being able to swing his axe and chop down a tree in one shot. It's one of those ones that kind of takes the supernatural. Well, it gives him more of a superpower, but he does have a badass look. Not only young England, Lincoln, but old Lincoln as well. And there are 3 instances on this. Like, first one is like the coolest one of young Lincoln's was him walking down the street go in the store, and you see him reach in, grab the axe, and then like looking up, you're like, oh, bad ass. Second time, actually, you get a little bit of the first one and the second one. Actually, all 3 in the trailer. You guys will probably know. The second one would be just that faded black warrior. Looks like he's sideways, and as the camera tilts up, the more you see Lincoln, as we all know and love him. And the third one being on the train without the hat, but in his fancy tux, axe in hand, probably like either in the middle of swing or middle of twist loop swing. Another point even brought up was in the movie, his motivation against slavery was more or less his own personal propaganda. Even it's like his personal problem with it. Anybody will have a problem with it. I know nowadays, but you gotta think. The vampires, there's a reason why the vampires are using the slaves. To demonstrate. I'm pretty sure that if a food source that vampires can get readily available, they're going to fight to defend it. That was why Lincoln called it the battle for America's soul. It wasn't just about what would be lost. It wasn't just that that vampires were exploiting slaves. What, they moved up the class. Instead of using their slaves, and started incorporating the homeless, the lower class, children, orphans. They would work their way up. It's like I said, it's one of those ones that's primarily an action movie, and it is awesome. All the action is great. Some of it is kind of hard to buy because it's CGI. Even then, I let it at a pass because I think the most CGI I've seen in the film was the horse. The scene with the horses, and pretty much whenever and the battles where Gettysburg, where the vampires were being the front line shock troops. They had to be CGI because that's how they were portraying them. I wouldn't mind them using actual fangs, but I like the fact that they wanted to increase the range of the mouth, because the neck is a thick area. For us personally, no problem when you're going for a claw. And me being Garo, I got the mouth size too. A little bit harder for something that relatively has human proportions. But anyways, like I said, it is an awesome movie. Don't have to spend as much money, because I can agree with everybody else that it was great, but not excellent. But it's very enjoyable. Go watch it. And oh yeah, somebody in UK password. I know one guy who absolutely hates it. His name is Filmbrain. I know what would cheer him up. So I'm gonna make Queen Victoria Demon Hunter. Believe it or not, that was the original book. Abraham Lincoln was the sequel. Make that movie. Please, Filmbrain. Until then, I need to hunt for another drink. Possibly tomorrow or Tuesday. The second of the double feature, the Fiona legend, Brave. Till then, 99 cups.